at some point expanding his game. The coaching staff is. You've watched a lot of Zion. What are they doing? Because his numbers keep jumping. 5 more points, 6 more points. What are they doing to expand his game?
Last night against the Bucks, but what the Pelicans are doing this season is they're running more pick and roll with Zion Williamson as the ball handler. Early in the year, he averaged only 1 per game over his first 15 games or so. In the last month, this month of February, he's averaging over 10. I mean, they have really given him the ball with J.J. Redick as a screener or Alonzo Ball as a screener, and that has unleashed some of the perimeter skill that we've seen from Zion to kind of slingshot him towards the basket. He draws more fouls on isolation possessions than anybody in the league, according to Second Spectrum data. This is a guy who's just tapping into what he can become, Colin. This is only the beginning of Zion, the shot creator.
It's interesting. I think he and Luka, both 20-year-old kids, I think they're both top 15 players. I mean, Luka's obviously a top 15 player. Where do you put Zion right now? I think he's the best interior scorer right now, even better than Giannis, because I think he's got the way he drives and creates contact, and he's a better free throw shooter, I think, than Giannis. Where do you put him in the league right now? Is he a top 15 player?
I mean, he's close. I think he's top 20 for sure. For Zion, the next step for him, he has it on offense. He's an elite scorer near the rim. He can create for others. Defensively, that's where we're seeing him get progressively better this year with New Orleans. They're a bad team on the defensive end of the floor. Zion has gotten a little bit better with his rotations, with his focus, with his intensity on that end. And I'm sure we'll see that develop over time, and he'll be making more big-time plays like he did at Duke during his exciting freshman season there.
So Brad Stevens' hot seat, you see that on social media, and my takeaway is they were in the conference finals. My theory on this was basically that this year's been tough because they're a very tactical team, and with the condensed schedule, you don't get an extra day of film study. You don't get an extra day of tactical gamesmanship, and this is not a team that's as gifted as a Brooklyn, as gifted as a Laker. There's a way to play with Brad Stevens, and now these games are all scrunched together, and a lot of times you go into these games, Kevin, and you don't get as much game tape and study, and I don't think this year is right now built for them. That's my takeaway on Brad Stevens. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think with Brad Stevens, he's getting a lot of the blame here with what's going wrong with Boston. They're under 500, a team that was just at the Eastern Conference Finals, like you said, 3 of the last 4 years, with Boston. It's easy to forget back with those Isaiah Thomas teams. But with Brad Stevens, some of the struggles this year, he didn't choose for Kemba Walker's knee to not be the same, for him not be the same player. He didn't choose for some of these rotation guys, for Jeff Teague to be much worse than expected. He didn't choose for Tatum and Brown to have this much demand on their team, for them to have to also be the guys that are defending the best opponent on the defensive end of the floor. These young guys, Tatum and Brown, are being asked of too much at this time when they're not ready for it. Tatum's 22. Brown is 24. 2 guys that are under 25 years old. I can't put the blame on them. I can't put it on Brad Stevens. It's just the unfortunate string of events that really led to this, starting with the Gordon Hayward injury years back with Kyrie leaving. Boston right now are not what we thought they would be. But this team is still in a good position long-term because of their youth. It's just about the GM, Danny Ainge, putting the right pieces around them over the next 2 to 3 years. That's where I would put the finger more than anybody else, is what is Ainge going to do to maximize this team for Stevens and for the young stars on there?
How surprised are you? I am very surprised. The Nets' chemistry, which I thought was a tinderbox, they're much better than I thought. I thought Kyrie Harden could be problematic. They're winning without KD. Are you surprised at all? When you talk to people around the league, are they a little surprised it's this fluid this quickly?
Not really. I think a lot of people expected this offense to click right away. Anytime you have 3 of the most creative scorers, most talented scorers we've ever seen in league history together that have a desire to play together, I don't think people were surprised by that. However, defensively, people around the league have remarked about, well, maybe this team has more tools than we thought. They're using Bruce Brown, a 6'4" guard, as a center on offense, but he's able to effectively, it's crazy to watch. So the Nets have all these different ways to play small, and they can still play big with DeAndre Jordan. I think their defense, when they're locked in, when they're really trying, as we've seen for a handful of games this year, they're going to be better in the playoffs than people are expecting just looking at the numbers right now, because they're near last in the NBA. But people around the league think they have more than what they're actually showing.
A couple nights ago, I turned on the Jazz Lakers. Jazz, I watched until I think they had 14 first half threes, and they're deep, they're well coached, and now the Lakers are all banged up. But when you watch this, I made the argument yesterday. You can make an argument. The Lakers got a break last year. The only people in the country that got a break with the pandemic, an older player got 4 months rest, and a brittle player got 4 months rest, and they went so rested, LeBron and AD, through the playoffs. Now AD's hurt again. Well, he's missed 20% of his starts, Kevin, in his career. This is kind of what he is. Do you think privately the Lakers think to themselves, was last year an exception? We're not getting a 4-month break anymore in the middle of a season.
I mean, I'll tell you what, with AD, though, Colin, this is one of the more serious, scary injuries. Anytime you have the word Achilles involved, even though it's not a rupture or a tear or anything like that, the fact it's involved with Achilles is scary, which is why I think we're seeing the Lakers play it so conservative here. They know with him that there's no reason for them to try to push to get the 1 seed. Let Utah get that. Let Utah dominate the regular season, because for the Lakers, their sights are on the postseason, and getting AD healthy is a priority. So for the Lakers fans, right, Lakers fans that are worried maybe right now, with Schroeder out, with AD out, I wouldn't be too concerned right now if AD's injury gets pushed from a month to 5 weeks to 6 weeks. Then you get concerned. But right now, the Lakers were already coasting as is, and now they're hurt. So it's just about building towards the postseason.
NBA analyst, the Ringer, Kevin O'Connor's got a nice backdrop. Is that faux brick or real? It's very professional looking.
It is a fake brick hanging in front of a green screen that we use with Ringer stuff.
I get it. All right, Kevin, I appreciate you stopping by the show.
Have a great rest of your day.
You bet. So we've told you before, the big stories here on a Friday are officially Deshaun Watson has said, he met with David Culley. He's like, I'm not signing with you. And the Texans' reaction is, we're not going to take any calls and just leave a message. So Chris Sims said it earlier this hour. I don't believe Deshaun Watson's going to play for the Texans. I think he should sit out. I wouldn't want to be part of this circus. Listen, there's a piece of, I don't know if we have this tape, of Sage Rosenfels used to play for the Houston Texans. And Cal McNair was the son of the owner. And when you hear the story about Cal McNair, listen, not all these owners are the same. So this is Texans quarterback Sage Rosenfels talking about his first interaction with Cal McNair 14 years ago in a recent podcast with Mike Silver.
One time, my first year there, I was talking to David Carr about this. And David had just come from Cal's office, I think, to discuss something. I'm not sure what it was. And I was like, what's, and I hadn't really met Cal at this point. I'm like, what's Cal like? He's like, well, I walk into his office and he's sitting on the floor. There's no desk or anything.
No way.
And there's this huge TV on the wall and he's playing video games.
That's right now the owner of the Texans. It's different. I'm not here to make disparaging remarks, but there's a lot of players. I just saw Duke Johnson was just released by the Houston Texans. Twitter's very funny. And so listen, folks, just personalize this. If you were really good at your job and you had like 12 years to really make money, would you sign up to the law firm if you thought the partners were goofy? If the lead partner in the law firm passed away, gave it to his son, and you're a really good lawyer, on the open market in Houston, there'd be 10 law firms that wanted you. Would you want to sign? Well, he signed a contract. Yeah, he was given promises, and they haven't adhered to the promises. If you were a lawyer, you're a doctor, you know if you went on the free agent market as a heart specialist, every hospital would want you. And the chief of staff leaves, gives it to